Hello students, welcome to Legacy IAS Academy. In today's video, we are going to discuss about rare occurrences that the world has seen recently, that is aurora. It is a climatic phenomena, atmospheric phenomena, and this was unusually seen in the Ladakh region of India as well. That makes it rarer than all. Now, what are auroras? How do they occur? And why in this particular time we have seen auroras in a low latitude? That is what we are going to discuss in this particular video in detail. So first of all, to give you the context of the issue that we are talking about, so recently aurora lights in the red hues, they were visible from Ladakh's pristine skies late at night recently. Now, astronomers of the IIA, that is the Indian Institute of Astrophysics, they have, which is basically situated in Bengaluru, they have captured the auroras through all sky cameras, which was positioned around the Indian Astronomical Observatory situated in Hanli region of Ladakh. Actually, it is also the Hanli region where India is trying to build its first dark sky reserve. Now, northern lights, as also auroras in northern hemisphere are commonly referred as, were also witnessed in other parts of the world, including the United States and the UK as well, where generally these are not observed. Meanwhile, southern lights, or also known by aurora borealis, aurora australis, they were spotted in countries such as New Zealand as well as Australia. Now, let us try to understand what are aurora. So, aurora are basically natural lights that you see in the sky, especially during the night time. As you can see from this particular picture here, this is the polar regions of the earth. So, around this polar region of the earth, you will see the light sky, the sky in the nights, which are very bright in nature, swirling curtain like shape they have. That means many times people also confuse aurora as colored clouds. However, the formation of both is very different from each other. At the higher latitudes, generally what we mean by higher latitudes, that the aurora occurrences is always observed beyond 60° north or 60 degrees south of the latitude. Or in another way, we can also say that auroras are generally observed beyond the Arctic Circle in the northern hemisphere and Antarctic Circle in the southern hemisphere. Now, though here green color is dominant one, a range of colors can be seen when the aurora occurrences are happening. Depends on which gases are being burned in the atmosphere. Now, aurora are primarily appearing near the polar areas, as we have discussed before, and sometime due to certain factors, certain region, they can be visible in the lower latitudes as well. In north, aurora is referred as aurora borealis, or generally known by the popular name of northern lights, while in the southern hemisphere, it is referred as aurora australis, because the Australian continent is the most dominant landmass in southern hemisphere, and largely it is in Australia where these auroras are visible. Now, why do auroral occurrences occur in the higher latitudes? So, this basically is nothing but an interaction that happens due to the phenomena that is taking place at the surface of the sun. So, basically, as you can see from this diagram, from the surface of the sun, we have the origin of solar winds. Now, these solar winds are made up of highly energetic particles, including ions, plasma, and even magnetic particles are released. So, when these solar winds are originating from the sun and when they reach toward the earth we know has a magnetic field around it. So, it is this magnetic field of the earth that deflects the solar wind away from the earth, and in that way it is actually protecting us from these highly charged energetic high temperature particles. However, a large part of the solar winds are deflected by the earth's magnetosphere or magnetic field, as we can see from here. However, some of the charged particles that is coming out, or that is part of the solar wind, some of the charged particles basically get trapped in the magnetic field of the earth. And as they get trapped in the magnetic field of the earth, they travel along the magnetic field lines. And you know that if earth is round in shape, the maximum concentration of magnetic field lines you will see near the poles. So after traveling through, getting trapped in these magnetic field lines, what happens? The concentration of these energetic particles keep on increasing near the poles. And as these energetic particles, their density increases near the poles, and due to them being highly energetic in nature, they start to burn the gases that is present in the atmosphere. Now, the burning of these gases is responsible for the light that we know as aurora or that we see as aurora. For example, as we have discussed, variety of colors we can see here, but dominant one is being green and pink. So if oxygen is present in higher amount here, a green color light is visible. And as we know that oxygen concentration is highest in those areas, that is why the green color is dominant one. Similarly, if nitrogen is present, then it will give a blue and purple kind of appearances. So depending on the gases, the color of the aurora might be different depending on areas also. This is the way how we can understand by diagram the aurora occurrences look like. So this you can see, it is kind of moving curtain like structure, moving curtain like shape, which is visible in the sky, and largely as you can see, it is green and pinkish in nature. And this is just a representation of the highly energetic solar particles coming, getting deflected by the Earth's magnetic field, getting trapped here and burning the atmospheric gases. So this is about the auroras. Now, why do auroras occur in the mid latitudes? For example, in UK, US, generally auroras are not visible. Even in Ladakh, auroras are not visible. So why it was visible in this particular time? This can be explained due to the fact that it is the intensity of the solar winds that determines to what extent on the earth you can see the auroras. For example, this particular time, the solar wind that came or originated from the sun was considered to be extremely strong in nature. Extremely strong means the solar flares and coronal mass ejection, the corona, which is the outermost layer of the sun, which has a temperature of almost 1 million degrees Celsius. So from there we have ejection of the particle that happens. These particles are essentially extra bursts of energy which it imparts to the solar winds. So now it has very huge volume of magnetic particles. It has very high energy density of ions and plasma matter, and thus they are able to travel. The solar wind is so intense that it can result in a geomagnetic storm kind of, we can say, phenomena, and also which is called as magnetic storms. So a temporary disturbance of the Earth's magnetic field is recorded. And when the Earth's magnetic field is temporarily disturbed, the particles that is part of solar winds, which generally confine themselves to the polar areas, are then able to travel even in the downward side, or we can say toward the lower latitudes as well. And it is during this magnetic storm, when there is a disturbance in the Earth's magnetic field, that auroras can be seen in the mid latitude. So if we talk about this particular phenomena, similar kind of strong solar storm, similar kind of strong geomagnetic storm was kicked off on Friday after a CME hit the Earth. CME again stands for coronal mass ejection, that is the ejection of particles, ions, gases and plasma from the corona region of the sun. That's why auroras were visible in several parts of the world. And as per the NOAA, that is the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, which is an organization of United States government, it has said that the auroral, the CME phenomena or the geomagnetic storm phenomena that we have witnessed is very extreme in nature, and similar such extreme phenomena can hit the planet in the coming days as well. So this geomagnetic storm can also affect not only the aurora occurrences, but can have wide ramifications on the satellites that are orbiting around the Earth as well. Plus space dependent operations, whether it is related to international space stations or any kind of mission being sent by many countries these days in the space, can also get impacted by such kind of a storm. So GPS system, radio and satellite communication, not even that, flight operations, power grids, as well as a space exploration program, all these can have impact if very severe geomagnetic storm travels from the sun toward the earth. So what is the source of the recent CME phenomenon? So if you look at the outer region of the sun as shown in this diagram, you can see we have two different areas. This is AR13664, this is AR13663. So basically the sun's corona, which is the outermost part of its atmosphere, in there the recent CME has originated from area, that is this area, that is AR13664, which is currently an active region of the sun. Active means many part of the sun becomes magnetically active in its course or during the what we can say, during the cycle which is called as sunspot cycle. And during that time, these coronal mass ejection travels at a speed of about 700 kilometers per second. The earthbound CME reach the closest to the Earth's atmosphere, and solar flares traveling at speed of about 815 kilometers per second were recorded when they hit the Earth for this particular time. So that is how we can understand that the solar flare this time was very extreme in nature. Currently, if you look at the status of sun, there are several such magnetically active regions like AR 13664 you will find around the sun, which is visible on the solar disk as well. And these are the areas that produce multiple high energy flares periodically. These continuous solar storms thus hold a strong potential for, as we have discussed, disturbing the space weather, causing major disturbances to the Earth's magnetosphere, and can last for the next 2 days as well, as was said by the NOA, US NOA, as we have talked about before. So that is all about this particular video. I hope you understood about the recent region that why auroras were witnessed in the lower latitudes as well. Thank you very much.